A lot of women express their anger towards their man, and then they are confused and hurt when their man doesn't seem to care and seems to only be pushed away by that anger. And it's understandable. I mean, you're hurt because you think that your man doesn't care about your feelings. You don't She doesn't care about when you're angry. And sometimes that's true. Some men truly don't care about their woman's feelings. But I would say most of the time, I would actually say the vast majority of the time, when a man seems to be pushed away by a woman when she's expressing her anger, it's not actually the anger that he is being pushed away by. So when a woman is angry, what is usually happening is the woman is not taking full responsibility for that feeling. Instead, she's energetically trying to force that responsibility onto her man. So instead of just being vulnerable and expressing her feelings without looking for any kind of outcome, energetically, she's actually going to be looking for an outcome. And the outcome that she wants is her man taking responsibility for how he hurt her. And so I'll give you an example. If a woman comes home and the house is a complete mess, and her man was supposed to be taking care of the house and cleaning up, and now it's a huge mess, she gets really angry. She says, like, I'm so angry right now because this house is such a mess. How do you think her man's going to respond? Do you think he's going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're angry, let me clean up for you? No, he's probably going to be really irritated because he feels like you're criticizing him. He feels like you're blaming him for your emotional state. And even if, it's perfectly reasonable that he should have cleaned the house, I'm not saying a woman should never feel angry about that. Of course not. But the problem isn't the anger. The problem is that energetically you are putting that on him. And so to illustrate that better, uh, I use this in another video, think of a negative energy like anger or hurt or sadness as a bunch of boulders on your heart, right? That's your baggage. You have all these boulders, they're crushing your heart right now because the house was a mess. And if you get angry at your man and energetically blame him, what you're actually doing is you're taking those boulders and trying to force it on him. So you're throwing all the boulders at him. These are your boulders. You put these boulders on me. I don't want these boulders here. I'm not responsible for these boulders. You take the boulders. They should be on your heart. And, men are not going to like that. Nobody's going to like that. People don't like burdens. Men don't like burdens. And what you're doing is you're taking your burden, your boulders, and you're trying to force it onto him. He's not going to be happy about that. He's not going to be interested in listening to your feelings. He's not going to care about your heart when you do that. You're really causing a huge disconnect from him, and it's going to push him away. He's going to want to either attack you back or go into his man cave and not deal with that because he doesn't want the burden. It's not that he doesn't want your emotional expression. It's that he doesn't want the energetic burden with what you're doing. And anger is probably the hardest emotion, I think, to not put a burden on somebody else, because anger itself as an emotion is blame based. What's going on is your belief systems have been attacked, perceived to be attacked in some way. For example, if you felt that your house needs to be clean, your husband needs to um, have the house clean to feel respected, and like you feel disrespected because he's made the house a mess, then it's like your beliefs have been attacked about yourself. Like, oh, am I not a person who deserves respect? and that's going to hurt. And you're going to try to rationalize that hurt and that attack on your belief by putting that responsibility back on him, being like, you're a bad person, you're a lazy person, you're a whatever, and that's why I feel this way. It's not because there's something wrong with me, it's because there's something wrong with you. You take these boulders. And so that's why your man's reacting, because you've now given him evidence that his beliefs about him are wrong. And then it's just a back and forth, and nothing gets solved that way most of the time if one person doesn't end up taking responsibility. And in a lot of conflicts, neither partner does. So there's a much better way to deal with anger than trying to force your boulders on someone instead of putting responsibility onto them. And that's you taking responsibility for your emotions. You're not taking responsibility for the fact that, he screwed up in some way. You're just taking responsibility for the emotional reaction that behavior caused. So, if a woman comes home and the house is a mess, she can say, like, I feel really angry right now because the house is a mess. And I wouldn't even finish with it because the house is a mess, because it's more likely, it's not the words that matter, but when you use those words, it's more likely that you're going to attach that blame to them. So a better way is just saying, like, I feel really angry right now, and then stopping. And then wait for your partner to ask, your man to ask, like, why are you angry? And then it's easier to step back, because if you just say, I feel really angry right now, you're not saying why. You're not putting the blame on anything else or on him, right? You say, like, I feel really angry right now because you made the house a mess. Now you're kind of making it more about him. And energetically, you're going to almost certainly be making it more about him. Whereas you just stick with, I feel really angry right now. Now it's about you. It's about your emotions. And it allows you to kind of ground yourself more in that emotional state. And then when he asks, like, why do you feel that way? Now you can express it, a better chance of expressing it without the blame. And the other way that you can do it is, and this works better, if you're able to tap into the emotion underneath the anger, that's even better. It's much easier to take responsibility for emotions that are not anger. So if you felt disrespected, say, like, I feel really disrespected right now. Or if you feel, unappreciated because he never goes out of his way to clean up. I feel really unappreciated right now. Or if you actually feel sad because of it, I feel really sad right now. Whatever it is, that doesn't mean you should never say I feel angry. It's not about that. It's just that when you're tapped into the anger, it's a lot easier to um, push your responsibility onto your man. That's what it is. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying really pay attention to the energy that's behind that anger. With when you phrase how you're actually feeling, how you phrase it is going to change the energy as well. And I ran into this problem so much in my marriage. I really love my wife. She's an amazing woman, but she does have a lot of difficulty with expressing those emotions without the blame. And I pissed her off a lot of times, and I'd say most of those times it's quite reasonable that she got angry at me. It is reasonable. But because she was trying to push that blame on me, she was trying to force those boulders on me, it would just make me react back. And then we would get into a lot of conflicts until I started really leading her to express her emotions without the blame. And, a lot of times it would get so bad that, she would start crying, but she would still be crying with the blame. I call it angry crying. And so she's crying, but all I feel is all this blame that's being put on me. I don't want that blame. I don't want that burden. That burden doesn't belong to me. That responsibility does not belong to me. And so she'd be crying, and I'd be like, oh man, like, I guess I should be caring about this, that my wife is hurt so much, but I just don't. And I would think like, is there something wrong with me? And some men are able, and I think I'm able to tap in more to that empathy and lead her towards expressing her feelings without the blame more. But back then it was just like, I don't like this. I don't like this. This is just pushing me away. I don't want to deal with it. This is your problem. And that's what so many women do to men. But then there's been a few other times where she's cried without that blame energy. She's just as upset, but without the blame energy. And I just feel like, oh my God, I want to do anything I possibly can to relieve you of this burden. I'll do anything. I will push these boulders off of you. I will take these boulders myself. I just don't want you to feel that way. And so what's happening is, just to go with my illustration here, it's like, instead of showing that all these boulders are on her heart, all this baggage, she, instead of her like forcing it on me, like saying, you take this burden, you take these boulders, all she's doing is just showing, these are the boulders on my heart. And when she does that, she's taking full responsibility for those boulders being there, and she's just showing me. And so there's no outcome, right? She's not trying to get an outcome, she's just showing. It's just show and tell. And then when she does that, there's no pressure, right? There's no trying to force that burden. And then that, so she's just giving me a gift now, because she's not trying to pressure me. She's just showing me, this is what's in my heart. And now I can give her a gift, and I'm compelled to give a gift because she's giving me a gift instead of giving me a burden. So I'm gonna, oh my God, all of these boulders are on your heart, and oh, I contributed to that in some way. Please, I want to get these off you. Like, let me, I want to hear everything you have to say. Oh, I'll do better not making the house a mess. Like, I don't want you to feel unappreciated. I don't want you to feel hurt. I don't want you to feel unvalued. Here, let me take this burden from you. It's completely different. It's completely 100% different. And so I really want women to pay attention to this energy that they're putting out. Like, are you showing your man that you have boulders on your heart, or are you forcing those boulders onto his heart? Right? Are you taking responsibility for your boulders being there, for your emotional reaction, or are you telling him, you need to take this responsibility? This is your responsibility. Because one of those ways is going to get almost certainly a very bad reaction, and the other way will probably get a much more positive reaction, where your man actually demonstrates that he cares about you and he cares about how you feel. So really practice that, and see how your man changes the way he responds. I really think that there is so much potential growth here once a woman takes full responsibility for her emotions. And then it can become a relationship based on mutual gift giving. A woman expressing her heart, a man doing things to make a woman feel better and unburden her heart. So practice it, see how it goes. Thanks for watching my video. If you're ready to take your relationship and dating skills to the next level, be sure to check out my website, relationshipofyourdreams.com, for more videos, articles, my coaching services, and much more.